Deep in the Pacific Ocean, a nuclear-powered fortress the size of 3 football fields glides through the water. On board, 5,000 sailors live, work, and spend money. But here's the twist. Physical cash barely exists on this ship. For decades, the U.S. Navy operated a financial system so unique that most Americans have no idea it even exists. Aircraft carriers don't just carry billion-dollar jets, they carry an entire economy. And the way money works aboard these floating cities is nothing like what you'd expect. So do aircraft carriers actually have their own currency? The answer isn't as simple as yes or no. What the Navy created is something far more fascinating. A cashless payment system that transformed how thousands of sailors handle money in the middle of the ocean. And it all started with a problem that most people never think about. Introduction. When you're deployed on an aircraft carrier for 6 months straight, hundreds of miles from the nearest coast, everyday tasks become complicated. How do you buy a candy bar from the ship's store? How do you get a haircut? How do you pay for laundry services when there's no bank, no ATM, and carrying thousands of dollars in cash puts everyone at risk? For most of naval history, sailors dealt with physical money. Ships had dispersing offices that handed out cash, but this created massive security concerns. Imagine storing enough cash to pay 5,000 people while floating in international waters. The risk of theft was enormous. The logistics were a nightmare, and when sailors went on shore leave in foreign ports, currency exchange became another headache. Then, in 2001, everything changed. The U.S. Navy partnered with the Department of the Treasury to launch something called Navy Cash, an electronic payment system that would eliminate nearly all physical currency from ships. This wasn't just a convenience upgrade, it was a complete financial revolution at sea. If you've ever wondered how military innovation extends beyond weapons and aircraft, drop a comment below. Let us know what surprises you most about life aboard these incredible ships. The birth of Navy Cash. Before Navy Cash existed, sailors faced real problems with money management at sea. Young recruits, often away from home for the first time, had to handle their finances with limited options. Some kept cash in their bunks, risky business on a ship with thousands of people. Others tried to cash checks at the dispersing office, creating long lines and administrative headaches. The turning point came when the Navy realized they needed to modernize. The technology existed to create stored value cards, similar to prepaid debit cards, but the challenge was making them work in the unique environment of a warship. These ships operate for months without touching land. Internet connections can be unreliable or non-existent in combat zones. The system had to work whether the carrier was docked in San Diego or operating in the middle of the Arabian Sea. Navy Cash launched as a pilot program in 2001 aboard the USS John F. Kennedy. The concept was straightforward but revolutionary. Give every sailor a card that functions both as an electronic wallet for onboard purchases and as a standard debit card for use anywhere in the world. The card itself looks like a typical bank card, but it serves dual purposes. The embedded chip holds electronic currency that works exclusively aboard ship. This is called the closed-loop system. Meanwhile, the magnetic stripe on the back connects to the sailor's bank account back home, functioning as a MasterCard debit card at millions of locations worldwide, the open-loop system. Within just a few years, the results were staggering. Ships that once carried hundreds of thousands of dollars in physical cash started deploying with 75% less. Some returned from deployments with more than 80% of their minimal cash reserves still untouched. By the time the program fully rolled out across the fleet, the Navy had converted over $660 million from physical currency to electronic value. How the system actually works. Before we go further into how sailors actually use this system, take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing, and it really helps us continue bringing you fascinating military stories like this one. It takes just 1 second. We'd really appreciate it. So how does a sailor actually get money onto their Navy cash card? The process is simpler than you'd think. When a sailor reports to a ship equipped with the system, they fill out a single form, Treasury Form 2887, that authorizes electronic transfers. They can then fund their card in several ways. The most popular method is called split pay. Through this option, sailors designate a portion of their military paycheck to be automatically deposited into their Navy cash account each payday. It happens electronically, without any paperwork after the initial setup. If a sailor wants to add more funds, they can use the cashless ATMs located throughout the ship. These aren't traditional ATMs that dispense bills. Instead, they're electronic terminals that let sailors transfer money from their bank accounts back home directly onto their Navy cash card. Once funded, the card becomes the sailor's wallet for everything aboard ship. Want a soda from a vending machine? Tap your Navy cash card. Need a haircut at the ship's barber shop? Navy cash. Buying toiletries or snacks from the ship's store? Navy cash. Even the laundry service runs on the system. Every transaction happens through point-of-sale terminals installed throughout the carrier. These terminals are connected to a closed network that operates independently of the outside world. This is crucial. Even if the ship loses all external communications, sailors can still buy what they need. The system is designed to function in complete electronic isolation if necessary. For visitors who come aboard, contractors, maintenance personnel, or guests, the Navy issues temporary visitor cards. These work the same way but are returned when the person leaves the ship, with any remaining balance refunded. The system even handles the ship's dining facilities. While the general mess is free for enlisted sailors, officers and chiefs who eat in the wardroom pay for their meals using Navy cash. Private messes, specialty dining areas, and guest meals all run through the same electronic system. What makes this especially impressive is the security. Each card is protected by a PIN number. Lost or stolen cards can be immediately deactivated through the ship's dispersing office. Compare that to losing a wallet full of cash in the middle of the ocean. That money would be gone forever. With Navy cash, the funds are protected. Life aboard a cashless carrier. Living on an aircraft carrier is like living in a small city that happens to float. The USS Gerald R. Ford, America's newest carrier, is home to roughly 4,500 sailors during normal operations. That number swells to nearly 6,000 when you include the air wing. All these people need services, and Navy cash keeps the economy running smoothly. The ship's store is the heart of this economic system. Think of it as a floating convenience store and mini department store combined. Sailors can buy everything from toothpaste and shampoo to electronics, workout gear, and Navy-themed clothing. During deployments lasting 6 months or more, the ship's store becomes essential. Running out of deodorant or needing new running shoes isn't a simple matter when the nearest Walmart is 1,000 miles away. Prices in the ship's store are competitive and often better than what you'd find ashore. That's because the Navy exchange system, which runs these stores, operates on a different model than regular retail. Profits don't go to shareholders. Instead, they're funneled back into morale, welfare, and recreation programs aboard the ship. That money pays for movie nights, gym equipment, recreation spaces, and other quality of life improvements for the crew. The barbershop is another essential service. Most carriers have multiple barber chairs, and sailors pay a small fee for haircuts, all through Navy cash. Given the Navy's strict grooming standards, these barbershops stay busy. For many young sailors, it's a familiar slice of home in an unfamiliar environment. Then there are the vending machines scattered throughout the ship. On the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Navy installed micro-markets, essentially unmanned convenience stores with self-checkout kiosks. Sailors can grab a snack or drink at any hour, pay with their Navy cash card, and go. There's been no significant theft reported from these systems, which speaks to both the honor of the sailors and the effectiveness of the monitoring in place. Our men and women in uniform deserve every bit of this convenience. These are the same people who spend months away from their families, working grueling schedules in one of the most demanding environments on Earth. The fact that the Navy invested in making their daily lives easier shows the commitment our armed forces have to taking care of their own. Beyond the ship. Here's where Navy cash gets even more interesting. Remember that magnetic stripe on the back of the card? When a carrier pulls into port, whether it's in Greece, Japan, Bahrain, or anywhere else, sailors can use their Navy cash card just like any other MasterCard debit card. This solves one of the biggest headaches of shore leave: currency exchange. In the old days, sailors had to find currency exchange services, deal with fees and unfavorable rates, and carry foreign cash. Now, they simply use their card. The transaction processes in the local currency automatically, and the funds are deducted from their Navy cash account at standard exchange rates. There are more than 23 million MasterCard acceptance locations in over 210 countries and territories. Add in access to over 2 million ATMs worldwide, and sailors have financial freedom that previous generations could only dream about. The card also provides a safety net. Young sailors on their first deployment sometimes make poor financial decisions. With Navy cash, they can't lose their entire paycheck in one go. The closed-loop system aboard ship limits spending to what they've designated for onboard use. The rest of their money stays safely in their bank accounts back home. Parents of young sailors have shared stories of how this system helped their kids learn financial responsibility in a controlled environment. For married sailors with families, the system offers peace of mind. They can ensure most of their paycheck goes directly to their spouse's bank account while keeping a manageable amount on their Navy cash card for personal needs. Before this technology, managing family finances from the middle of the ocean was far more complicated. The bigger picture. Navy cash is actually part of a larger military financial revolution. The Department of the Treasury manages 3 separate stored value card programs for the armed forces. There's Easy Pay, introduced in 1997 for recruit training across the Army, Air Force, and Marine Corps. There's Eagle Cash, launched in 1999 for deployed troops in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. And there's Navy Cash for ships at sea. Together, these 3 programs have eliminated the need for $4.1 billion in physical currency. Think about what that means logistically. The military no longer has to source, transport, secure, account for, and disperse billions of dollars in cash to far-flung locations around the world. During the Iraq War, transporting physical cash cost the military roughly $60,000 in security and logistics fees for every $1 million shipped. That's a 6% overhead just to move money around. Electronic systems eliminated almost all of that cost while simultaneously improving security and convenience. The technology isn't standing still either. The Navy continually upgrades the system. New hardware reduces maintenance costs and improves capabilities. Recent updates give sailors electronic receipts for every transaction made off the ship, something the original system didn't provide. The card now works at thousands of additional ATMs worldwide compared to the first generation. What's truly remarkable is how this innovation reflects the Navy's commitment to its people. These massive ships cost billions of dollars to build and operate. The aircraft they carry represent some of the most advanced military technology ever created. Yet the Navy still invested time, money, and effort into something as simple as making it easier for a sailor to buy a candy bar or call home. That's the mark of an organization that truly values its personnel. The future and what it means. Looking ahead, the Navy is transitioning from Navy Cash to an upgraded system called Eagle Cash Navy Cash. This next generation builds on everything learned over 2 decades of operation. It maintains the same dual functionality, but with improved technology, better security features, and enhanced global access. Some might wonder, why not just use regular debit cards or mobile payment apps? The answer lies in the unique challenges of naval operations. Ships spend extended periods in communications blackout. They operate in hostile environments where electronic warfare can disrupt standard financial networks. The Navy needed a system that works even when cut off from the rest of the world. That's why the closed-loop system is so important. It functions independently, no matter what's happening outside the ship. This level of financial independence is just one more way that aircraft carriers operate as self-contained cities. They generate their own power through nuclear reactors. They produce their own fresh water from seawater. They have their own hospitals, post offices, television stations, and radio stations. And yes, they have their own functional economy powered by an electronic payment system most Americans have never heard of. The sailors serving on these ships represent the best of America. They're the ones maintaining the most powerful naval force the world has ever seen. They're the ones launching jets off the deck in all weather conditions, day or night. They're the ones standing watch in the engine rooms, maintaining billion-dollar weapon systems, and ensuring that American power can project anywhere in the world at a moment's notice. They deserve every innovation and convenience we can provide. Conclusion. So do aircraft carriers have their own currency? Not exactly. But what they do have is something equally impressive. A self-contained electronic financial system that allows thousands of sailors to live, work, and spend money in the middle of the ocean without most of them ever touching physical cash. It's a testament to American innovation, military logistics, and the Navy's commitment to its people. The Navy cash system has now been in operation for over 2 decades across more than 150 ships. It's processed hundreds of millions of transactions for hundreds of thousands of sailors, and most people have no idea it exists. If this video opened your eyes to something new about our incredible Navy, hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating military content. We've got plenty more stories about the innovations and incredible people that keep America safe.